Deputy's widow found a boy tracing names in dust. One matched her baby's gravestone. The knock wasn't loud. It was slow, hollow, like a boot tapping wood just once in waiting. She dried her hands on her apron and stared at the door. The kettle behind her hissed. Her shadow stood still. Another knock. Same pace, same sound. She opened it. A boy stood there, barefoot, shirt buttoned wrong, hair stuck to his forehead like it hadn't seen a comb in weeks. He didn't look up. His eyes stayed on the porch boards. He raised one finger, dragged it through the dust, wrote a name. Samuel. She froze. The boy stepped back. Still didn't look up. "Where'd you hear that name?" she asked. "Nothing." "You deaf?" He shook his head. "Then speak." He pointed to the name again, then at her. "You don't get to come here and scratch old bones, boy." Her voice cracked. "You don't know what that name means." He pointed at her boots. She looked down. Mud from the graveyard path still clung to the edges. She hadn't worn them since the funeral. "Go on now," she muttered. "Ain't nothing here for you." He turned, slow. I walked to the end of the porch, sat on the step, didn't leave. She watched him for a long time, then shut the door. Inside, the kettle was screaming. She didn't sleep that night, kept expecting another knock, kept hearing it even when it didn't come. The next morning, he was still there, curled up against the post, dirt on his cheek, dried blood under one fingernail. "Are you hungry?" she asked. He nodded once. She brought out bread and cold beans. He didn't say thank you. Ate slow. "You got a name?" He blinked. "I ain't feeding no ghost," she said. He swallowed. "They called me Crow." "Is that your real name?" He shrugged. "It's what they used." She sat beside him, not close. "How old are you?" "Don't know." "Where's your mama?" He scraped the tin plate clean. "Don't get one." "Do you lie often?" He looked at her then, just once, then pointed to the porch again. Samuel. The letters hadn't faded. "You wrote that this morning?" "No." "When?" "Before." "Before what?" He stared at her boots again. "Before you buried him." Her breath caught. "You weren't there." "I was close." She stood fast, hands trembling. "You best leave." He didn't move. "I said go." "Where?" "Wherever you came from." He looked toward the road. It stretched flat, then curled into heat. "I ain't got nowhere." She stepped back inside, slammed the door, bolted it. She watched from the window as he lay down again on the step. Didn't cry, didn't stir, just traced the name over and over into the dust. That evening, she opened the floorboard in the back room, pulled out the tin box, the quilt square, the name tag from the hospital, Samuel Dean, stillborn, 5 pounds. She clutched the square to her chest, closed her eyes. "You ain't supposed to come back," she whispered. But when she opened the door again, he was still there. "You sleep?" "No." "You dream?" "Yeah." "What of?" "Names." "What names?" He looked up at her porch. "Ones they tried to forget." She sat down again, this time closer. "Do you remember his face?" she asked. "No." "Then why his name?" He sang it. "Who?" "The one in the ground." Her chest felt tight. "You're making this up." "No, ma'am." "You're trying to hurt me." "I didn't come to hurt no one." "Then why'd you come?" "I think you called me." "I did no such thing." He pointed to the nail on her door frame, the one where the baby rattle used to hang. "It's still there," he said. She followed his gaze. The shadow of it, the dent in the wood. "You don't know what you're saying." He nodded. "I know what dust remembers." She let him stay that night, put a blanket on the porch, left the door cracked, watched him through it. He traced the name again, then another. "Clara." She stepped outside. "What's that?" "Girl from the well house." "I don't know Clara." "She knew your baby." "That doesn't make sense." "Most names don't," he said, "till they get spoken twice." The next morning, she stepped onto the porch. Both names were gone. Only dust remained. The boy stood at the gate, looking out. "You leave?" she asked. He turned. "Not yet." "Why not?" "'Cause you ain't asked what you buried." Her hands balled into fists. "I buried a baby." "Maybe." "What do you mean, maybe?" He walked toward her. Slow, careful. "Sometimes they bury what's left of the truth, not the whole of it." "Are you trying to say I don't know what happened?" I'm saying there's more under that grave than you remember. Silence stretched. The wind kicked up. Dust danced. He knelt, drew a third name, Deputy Number 3. Her knees gave a little. That was her husband's old title, before the governor made him vanish off paper, before the barn fire, before the stillbirth. She stared at the name. Where'd you learn that? The boy looked her dead in the eye. From your kitchen drawer. She didn't move, didn't blink, didn't ask how. Just stepped back into the house. Left the door open this time. The kettle boiled again. She didn't shut it off. The boy sat on the edge of the porch, knees drawn up, eyes fixed on the sky like it might speak next. She stood behind the screen door, arms folded, watching him. A slow wind kicked dust across the step, but he didn't blink. You knew that name before you came here, she said. He didn't answer. You said it like you'd heard it from his mouth. Still nothing. I'm asking again, and I expect. The truth this time. He looked at her. It wasn't his first. She stepped out. What? Samuel. That's not the name they gave him when he was born, just what they used to call him. She narrowed her eyes. You sayin' I didn't name my own son? He shrugged. Maybe someone else named him first. She sat slowly beside him. You like messin' with people's heads, don't you? No, ma'am. You're just a child. He looked at her boots. So was he. She stood again. That's enough. I ain't lying. You knew the lullaby. He nodded. She stared down at him. How? I heard you singing it. In the drawer, where the tin box is. She said nothing. I know the crack in the floor where the nail pokes out. I know which board creaks when you open the back door. She stepped off the porch. Her chest was tight. What else do you know? Your husband's boots still smell like cedar, but the left one's got blood in the stitching. She turned back to him. What did you say? I didn't put it there. By midweek, word got out. First it came from Josie at the feed store, then from Davis at the dry post. Someone had seen the sheriff's truck idling near the graveyard. Lights off, no reason to be there. They said the badge marker on Deputy Number 3's headstone had shifted a few inches, not enough to blow off in the wind, enough to mean someone touched it. She walked the road to the graveyard in silence. The boy followed a few steps behind, quiet as ever. You know where it is? She asked. He pointed. Middle row, second hill. She hadn't told him. They reached the marker just before dusk. The metal badge stuck in the soil was tilted, not loose, but leaning. The earth looked patted down, not settled. She crouched. Don't touch it, the boy said. Why not? They'll know. Who will? The ones who put it back. She stared at him. You mean the sheriff? He shook his head. The ones above him. Her fingers brushed the badge. The metal felt too cold for summer. You're just guessing. I'm not. You were even born when he died? No. Then how? They didn't want you at the funeral, did they? She froze. How do you know that? You sat by the fence, watched from behind the vines. She looked away. You ain't cry, he said. No. Why? Because I didn't bury who I thought I did. He didn't ask what that meant, just looked at the soil. Want me to dig? He said. She shook her head. Number not yet. That night she brought out the cradle. It was stored in the shed, covered in burlap, dry as bone. She didn't know why she dragged it inside, only that she couldn't leave it there. The boy sat on the floor and stared at it. Have you ever slept in one like this? She asked. He shrugged. Don't remember. Don't remember or never had one. He traced the leg of the cradle with his finger. I saw it before. Where? In the barn before it burned. Her stomach dropped. You couldn't have. I did. You weren't even... He tapped the side of the cradle. The left slat's cracked. You fixed it with wire. Her breath hitched. That's how it scraped his arm. That's how they knew. Knew what? That he wasn't stillborn. She stepped back. You need to leave. He didn't move. You can't stay here, you hear me? Yes, ma'am. She walked to the door and opened it. The air outside was still. He stood up slowly. I don't want to lie to you. Then don't. I don't think he died. Who? Your boy. Her voice cracked. You saw the grave. He looked down. I saw a hole, not what they put in it. She didn't sleep again. The dreams came in flashes, a barn door slamming, the sound of boots running, the crackle of fire, soft at first, then screaming. In the morning, she went to town, left the boy alone. She didn't speak to anyone, just walked. At the back of the general store was a pinboard, town notices, lost animals, church bake sale, and a photo, old, curling at the edges. A group of deputies, 4 men, 1 woman, third from the left, her husband, badge number 3, staring straight ahead. But it was the boy beside him that stopped her cold. Small, barefoot, shirt buttoned wrong. She tore the photo off and walked out. When she got home, the boy was gone. The cradle was still there. The porch had names again, not just Samuel, a row of them. Clara, deputy number 1, Mary, Jonah. She stepped back from the dust, picked up the photo, hold it beside the names. The same face, the same boy, standing beside her husband, wearing the same tired look. He wasn't guessing. He wasn't lying. He had been here before. She sat on the porch until the moon rose. When she heard his steps again, she didn't flinch. "You left," she said. "Only for a bit." "You saw the photo?" He nodded. "You knew I'd find it." "I was hoping." She didn't speak for a long time. "You said Samuel wasn't his first name." He nodded. "Then what was?" He looked at her, eyes darker than before. "Mine." She scrubbed the porch with boiling water and vinegar, bent low, hands red, nails broken. The wood hissed beneath the brush, but the names didn't smear easily. "Why doesn't it go away?" she muttered. The boy sat on the steps, arms around his knees. "'Cause it ain't dirt," he said. She didn't answer, just kept scrubbing. "You know that name?" he asked. She looked down, one word traced into the dried grain. "Mary." "Mary was my sister," she said. "Died when she was 15. Fever." The boy nodded. "She ain't marked right." "She's got a cross. That ain't the same." She stopped scrubbing. "I buried her myself," she said. "I know. You weren't there." "I was close." She stood up, jaw clenched. "That doesn't mean nothing." He traced the name again with his finger, then dragged his hand across it. A new one formed under it like a shadow. Ellis. She stepped back. "I don't know that one." "You will." That night, she left a broom on the porch. Come morning, more names. Not all fresh. Some shallow, like they'd been there for years. One almost too faint to read. J.M. She knelt close. "You write this one?" she asked. The boy shook his head. "That one was already there." "I never saw it. You weren't looking yet." She stared at it a long time. "Have you ever known someone named J.M.?" "Just their hands," he said. She turned to him. "What's that mean?" "They touched me." Once she didn't ask more. The next day she poured salt water across the porch. Let it soak, then wipe it with rags until her palms stung. "You think it'll hold this time?" she asked. "No," he said. "Why not?" "You're cleaning the wrong thing." "Then you do it." He stood, walked to the edge of the porch, knelt, and scratched his nail into the wood. The name appeared slow this time, one letter at a time. Clara. Her legs gave out a little. "That's a lie," she said. He didn't look at her. "She's not gone." "She vanished," he said. "She moved." She testified. "She was scared. She was 17. I told her to stay quiet." "You told her to lie." Her face went pale. "I didn't want her to get hurt." She still was. She turned away. "You don't know what it was like." "I do." She gripped the railing. She was just a girl. And the badge didn't save her. That evening, she walked to the edge of her land, past the cotton sheds, past the fence her husband never finished. The wind was still. The field behind the well house lay flat, unplanted, undisturbed. "She disappeared right here," she said. The boy walked beside her. "She was sitting on that stump when they came," she said. "How many?" he asked. 3. "They wear hats." "Number just boots and knives." "She screams." "No." "Why not?" She knew it wouldn't help. The boy knelt near the stump, touched the dirt. "There's bone here," he said. "No." He pressed harder. "Not whole, just the tip of my jaw." Her voice dropped. "That can't be." He looked up at her. "You left her out here?" "I waited till morning." "Why?" "'Cause the sheriff said she'd come home." "Did she?" "No." Back at the porch, the names had changed again, and one more, new, written low across the first step, not etched deep, just enough to sting. "You," she stared at. "It. You trying to say this is my fault?" "No," the boy said. "Then why that name?" "It's just what the dust remembers." "Then you tell the dust it's wrong." He stood. Can't. Why not? It doesn't listen to me. She picked up the broom and swept hard, over and over, until nothing remained but streaks and splinters. You staying here just to haunt me? She asked. No. Then why? I think you called me. I didn't call no ghost. I ain't a ghost. You sure? He stared at the empty porch. No, he said. At midnight, she heard the floor creak. Footsteps, not hers. Slow, careful. She sat up in bed. Boy? No answer. She rose, lit a candle, and opened the door. The porch was empty, but the names were back, fresh, deeper, and beside them, scratched with the side of a nail, one sentence. She's not where you left her. She stepped out barefoot. The wood was cold under her toes. Where is she? She whispered. The boy appeared beside the well, pale in the moonlight. She went down, he said. The well's sealed. Not to her. You saying she crawled in? I'm saying someone dropped her. She fell to her knees. I told her not to speak. She wanted to live. She trusted me. She did. She looked up. And you? He looked down at her. I don't trust anybody, he said. In the morning, the well house door was open. She hadn't opened it in years. The lock was still intact, but the hinge looked twisted, like something had forced its way in, not out. The boy stood by the door, holding a rope. Are you ready? He asked. For what? To see if dust lies. She stepped forward. You go first, she said. He nodded and vanished into the dark. The boy didn't say where they were going, just pointed east. She followed. The road narrowed to nothing. Dried grass brushed her ankles. You walked this before? She asked. Yeah. How long ago? Before the fire. You weren't alive then. He didn't respond. The barn rose ahead, crooked and low. The roof slumped like it had been punched. One side sagged open, showing ribs of charred timber. The governor used to keep horses here, she said. They kept names here, the boy said. She paused. You mean people? Number names. Inside, it smelled like time had curled up and died. She stepped carefully, boots tapping ash. The walls were black. Some beams still bore scorch marks. Others sagged like tired men. He walked ahead, knew where to go. Over here, he said. She followed to the far wall. Beneath the frame of a half-burned window, initials scratched deep. Some clear, some half gone. Her breath caught on that last one. You know it? He asked. Those were his initials. The boy traced the letters. They stacked them here, before the fire. Stacked who? The names, the stories, all the ones that didn't belong anywhere else. She backed away. You don't stack names. You do when they're all that's left. She turned toward the rafters. Something caught the light. A scrap of fabric, pinned high with a nail, curled at the corners. She climbed onto a beam, reached, pulled it down. A baby's quilt, half burned, edged in hand-stitched yellow thread. One patch was still intact, blue with a faded pattern. She stared. This was his. The boy stood still. They used it to mark the ones not claimed. Her fingers clenched. He had a grave. Not first. Her voice cracked. He was born. I held him. He stepped closer. Did you hear him cry? No. Did you see his eyes open? No. Then maybe they didn't let him. She turned and walked to the center of the barn. The roof there was blackened, open to the sky. She knelt, touched the floor, closed her eyes. The air changed. A whisper moved through the soot. I couldn't stop them. She opened her eyes. What did you say? The boy shook his head. Weren't I? She stood fast. Say it again. I didn't. Her hands trembled. Was it him? She asked. Maybe. I know that voice. I do too. You said you never met him. I didn't, but I remember his voice from the drawer. They sat on the dirt, the quilt between them. She smoothed it flat, touched each thread like it held breath. You know what this means? She asked. Someone lied. No. Yes. He died. They said he did. You weren't there. I was close. Stop saying that. It's true. She stood. Why would they fake a death? He looked around. To keep quiet, the truth. What truth? That one of theirs had a baby with one of yours. Her eyes narrowed. You think it was him? He didn't answer. You think the governor... I think the badge didn't belong to your husband first. She stepped back. That's a lie. He stood too. Then why is it carved here? She didn't look. You know who else was stacked? He asked. No. Clara. She turned away. They brought her here. Let her name burn. Stop. She screamed in this barn. I said stop. The wind outside pushed through the beams, made the fireless space breathe. Do you want to know what else I saw? He asked. No. Then why'd you follow me? She didn't speak again until they left the barn. She walked faster than him now, her boots crunching the gravel hard. You could have told me all this from the porch, she said. You had to see it. Why? To remember. I don't want to remember. You already do. She stopped walking, turned. You think this is your story, she said. It ain't just mine. You think you're him. I'm what's left of him. That doesn't make sense. I know. You expect me to believe you're my boy? I expect you to know what was taken from you. They reached her gate. He stepped aside. Let her pass first. She opened the door. The porch was clean. No names. No dust. You wipe it? She asked. No. Then who? The ones that stacked it. She closed the door behind them, sat down on the floor beside the cradle. He sat beside her. She placed the burned quilt in her lap, ran her thumb along the edge. The governor's barn burned the night after the trial, she said. I know. I saw smoke from here. They were burning records. You think he's still alive? I think he was born twice. And you? I think I was supposed to stay buried. She looked at him. Are you hungry? He nodded. I'll make eggs, she said. Okay. She stood. He stayed sitting. The quilt never left her hands. The bread sat in the center of the table, still warm when she pulled it from the oven, still soft when she sliced it. Now it's cold, uneaten. She stared at it. He folded napkins beside her. Are you hungry? She asked. He didn't look up. Not today. You haven't eaten since the barn. I ate before that. When? Before I was him. She didn't respond, watched his fingers crease another corner. What are you making? Birds. Why? They know how to leave. She picked at the crust. Your kind of talk gives me a headache. They don't stay buried. Her hand stopped. Who? He placed the folded bird upright on the plate. Any of 'em. She walked to the graveyard alone. Didn't tell him she was going. He didn't ask. The sky was thick, not storming, just heavy. The kind of gray that presses down without touching. The grave sat where it always had. Back left corner, near the gate with the rusted hinge. Weeds are low, stone sunken. She knelt, wiped the dust. I froze. His name was scratched. Not all the way off, but deep enough to show effort. The A and M were gone. She stood, breathing through her teeth. You watching me now, too? She asked the wind. Behind her, the gate squeaked. She turned slow. The woman from the well house stood near the fence, apron on, basket in hand, eyes down. You do this? The widow asked. The woman shook her head. Then who? I don't know. You saw it happen? I felt it. You felt a name go missing. The woman looked up. I felt hands I couldn't see. Back at the porch, the boy was gone. The folded birds were still on the table. One had a line of red across the wing, ink, or something darker. She picked it up, flipped it. Words scratched inside, tiny. Well house knows. She looked out across the yard. The well house door was open again. She knocked once, pushed the door. The neighbor woman sat at a table inside, sewing fast, needle sharp, fingers shaking. What are you making? The widow asked. The woman didn't stop stitching. Names. On what? Clothes. Thread holds what the ground forgets. You think thread's gonna fix this? Number, but silence won't. The widow stepped inside. The room was narrow, smells of root and mold. On the far wall, cloth hung in strips, some with dates, some with initials. She stepped closer. Her breath caught. Why's his name here? I stitched it the night they lied. Who? All of them. You included. The widow's hand curled into a fist. Say that again. You let him go. I didn't know. You felt it. I was bleeding. I was screaming. They said he was gone. You didn't ask to see the body. I was told not to. You obeyed. The widow's voice dropped. You think I wanted this? I think you knew deep down he was alive. The widow turned to leave. The woman kept stitching. You ever wonder why no doctor signed the death slip? She stopped at the door. No seal. No initials. Just the word still. Back home, she found him under the table. He was holding the cradle leg. You okay? She asked. I heard them. Who? The ones in the cloth. You mean the well house woman. Number the ones she sewed. She crouched. You making this up? No. You sure? They talk when you touch the names. What did they say? They missed the sound of their own voices. She didn't move. He looked up. Why'd you let them lie to you? I didn't know they were lying. Then why didn't you scream louder? I was bleeding. So were they. That night she couldn't sleep. The cradle creaked. Floor groaned. She didn't check. She knew nothing there would settle her. She sat at the kitchen table, lit a candle, opened the drawer, pulled out the box, the quilt square, the tag, held them in her lap. Why now? She whispered. Why come back? The door creaked. He stood there, barefoot. Because something's waking, he said. What? The part of you that remembers. In the morning, she went to the sheriff's office. He wasn't there. Just the deputy's boy, now full-grown, sitting behind the desk. She stared at him. Have you ever heard of a baby named Samuel Dean? She asked. He leaned back. A lot of folks name their boys Samuel. This one was mine. He didn't blink. Didn't know you had one. I did. He looked away. Have you seen anyone near the grave lately? She asked. He paused. Someone scratched the marker. Was it you? No. Who was it? I don't know. You sure? He reached in. The drawer. Pulled out something wrapped in cloth. I placed it on the desk. She unwrapped it slowly. The old baby rattle. Bent. Scorched. Faint blue stripe across the handle. I found it last week, he said. Near the well. She gripped it tight. That shouldn't be there. He leaned forward. Maybe he never left. She came home, locked the door, and closed the curtains. He sat at the table again. She placed the rattle down. This used to hang on the doorframe. He nodded. I took it down after the funeral. I remember. You were there. No. You keep saying that. I was close. She stared at him. You want to tell me what that means? He looked at her. Quiet. Calm. I think part of me was always in this house. The boy stood at the bottom of the hill, barefoot again, shirt damp at the collar, hands already stained. She came up slow behind him. You said it was near Clara's? She asked. He pointed to the left. Far end, past the crooked stone. There's nothing marked there. That's the point. She followed, boots sinking slightly into the soft grass. He stopped at a patch where the earth dipped strange, like something had settled without permission. He knelt, pressed his palm flat. Right here. She didn't move. You gonna dig? You want me to? You brought me. He started clawing at the dirt. No shovel, just fingers, like he knew how deep. She dropped beside him. Dug, too. It wasn't long before her nails hit something hard. Stop, he said. She brushed the soil off with her sleeve, pulled the cloth free. It was stiff with time, folded tight around something flat and metallic. She unwrapped it. A rusted badge. Deputy number 3. She stared. This ain't his. He looked at her. No. She turned it in her hand. They only issued one number per man. I know. Then who the hell? Someone erased one. Her voice dropped. You sure? They had to make room. For who? For your husband. She stood up, fingers trembling. You saying my man took someone's badge? I'm saying someone made it look like he always had it. She looked back toward the gate. No one in sight, just wine brushing through dry branches. Somewhere, a crow cried out. This doesn't make sense. It ain't supposed to. She stared down at the cloth. Who wore this one? I don't know. Don't lie. I can't lie about what's gone. She crouched again, laid the badge in the dirt. Why would they do this? He sat beside her. They needed a clean name for what came next. That night, she didn't light the lamp. Just let the dark press in. She lay stiff on the mattress, the old quilt tight at her chest. Sleep didn't come fast, but when it did, it came strange. She saw red clay, wet, thick, crawling up her arms like it didn't want to let go. She saw a box, wooden, small, too small. She heard fists, little ones, pounding and breathing. Short, panicked, muffled like it came from under layers. Then silence. She gasped awake. She went to the porch. The boy was already sitting there. "You felt it too?" he asked. "Don't talk." He stayed quiet. She sat beside him, hands in her lap. "I saw a box." "I know. I heard him." "I did too." "You said he never cried." "He didn't." "Then how'd he scream?" "He didn't answer." "You were in the dream." "I think I was the dirt." She looked at him, eyes wide. "I didn't mean to stay quiet," she said. "You weren't the one that nailed it shut." Morning light showed the badge again. She'd left it on the kitchen table. It looked smaller now, less important. She picked it up, turned it in her hands. "You think I should bury it again?" she asked. "No." "Then what?" "Take it to the records man." "He's dead." "Then to the drawer under his name." "There ain't one." "There will be." She opened her old ledger, flipped through yellowed pages, blank after 84. "That's where the swap happened," she whispered. "Yep." She turned the page. There, faint in pencil, almost erased. "Deputy, LSR, reassigned. No surname," she muttered. "He didn't get to keep it." She traced the name with her fingertip. "They took it from him. They gave it to someone easier to control." "My husband." "Your name stayed clean, didn't it?" She looked up. "You think I knew?" "No." "You think I was part of it?" "You were part of the silence." Later, she walked back to the graveyard, alone, stood by the fresh dug spot, hold the badge tight in her palm. She dropped it where they found it, not to bury it again, just to mark something right. "Whoever you were," she said, "you weren't nothing." The wind didn't blow. The sky didn't change, but something under her boots felt still. That night, she boiled water and washed her hands twice, scrubbed her nails, burned the cloth the badge came in, didn't speak. I didn't sleep. When the boy appeared at the table, she nodded toward the chair. "Do you ever think you were him?" "I don't think anymore," he said. "What do you do then?" "I remember." "Remember what?" "The parts people tried to dig over." "You gonna keep staying here?" "Till the rest comes up." "And if it doesn't?" He leaned back. "It will." "How are you so sure?" "Because you're starting to dig." She didn't argue, just looked out the window toward the hill where names were missing. The courthouse key was still under the loose brick by the post. Hadn't moved in years. She took it and didn't ask permission, just walked in like the building still knew. Her. The door groaned loud. Paper air and rotted leather filled her lungs. The archive room sat in the back. Dust pooled thick at the threshold. She didn't bother with gloves. "What exactly are we looking for?" the boy asked behind her. "Whatever's left." She opened the first drawer, pulled out the marriage licenses, found hers fast. "Still there," she muttered. "Of course it is." "Why do you say that?" "Men keep what makes them look honest." She shut it, moved to birth records, flipped pages. "Dean," she said, "that's mine." "Go back a year." "Why?" "Just do it." She did. Page torn right down the middle. "You see this?" He nodded. "Keep going." She did, until her own entry year. Her name wasn't there. She turned pages again. Faster, slower. Checked the index. Nothing. Her voice went low. "They erased me?" "They erased her." She looked at him. "My mama?" He didn't nod, didn't blink, just stared at the blank column. "Why would they?" "Because if she didn't exist, then you couldn't either." She turned the book to him. "That doesn't make sense." "It does to the ones who kept the pen." She found the school ledgers buried in the filing cabinet near the furnace. Most names were crossed through, re-entered with ink, some scratched faintly in pencil. Few stayed clean. He helped her carry the box to the floor. "You know what to look for?" he asked. "Not exactly." They flipped through silence. Halfway down the second log, she paused. "Here," she said. He looked. A short line. Third entry. Baby male. Unnamed. Stillborn. No date. No wait. Just the word still. Her voice dropped. "That's mine." He shook his head. "No. Don't lie." "I'm not." "It's my senior year." "That wasn't you." "You just said." "That wasn't you." She stared down. "You sure?" "Read it again." She did. Twice. Her hands didn't shake. He did. They sat on the steps outside the courthouse. The log book sat between them. "You okay?" she asked. He didn't answer. "You said that wasn't me." He nodded. "Then who?" They needed a filler. For what? To hide the one they kept. She stared down the road, empty, just wind and dry grass. They put a false stillbirth under my name? They had to. Why? He looked at her, because the one born alive wasn't theirs. She looked at the log again. It means I did have him. You did. I held him. For a second. Then. They passed him through the barn. Her voice cracked. To who? The ones who owned the ink. That night she opened her mother's Bible. Her mother's name had been scratched out years ago, but the ghost of it still showed through the paper. Gail, she whispered, you didn't leave me. Nothing, did you? The boy sat across from her, arms wrapped around his knees. You think she knew? She asked. He nodded. She helped them? She was part of them. Her voice rose. That's a lie. She came from their house, wore their aprons, sewed their names. She was scared. She was quiet. She loved me. She kept you hidden till they didn't want you anymore. She stood up. You don't get to say that. He didn't flinch. You came from silence. You stayed in it. Morning came quiet. The cradle still sat by the window. She hadn't moved it in days. The quilt inside had changed. She didn't remember folding it that way. You touch this? She asked. The boy nodded. Why? I wanted to feel what it was like to stay warm. Her throat went tight. You remember being in it? He looked at her soft. I remember being carried away in something that smelled like you. She sat on the floor beside the cradle. I wanted you, she said. I know. I was young. They picked you 'cause of that. I would have fought harder if I knew. You weren't allowed to know. I hate them. I do too. She reached out, held his wrist. I don't know who you are, she whispered. You will. Later she walked to the church. The doors still unlocked the way they used to, the pews covered in a sheet of ash and dust. She climbed to the bell tower, rummaged through the old Sunday school shelf. Behind the hymn books, a ledger, different from the courthouse's, smaller, handmade. She opened it, found a stitched insert, names written in red thread. At the bottom, Samuel D. Taken, cried once. Her knees buckled. She sat down hard. He stood in the doorway. You brought me here, she said. Number you remembered where the cries stopped. She closed the book, looked up. Was it you? He didn't speak. Say it. I think I was the one who cried. Back at the house, she sat at the table, laid the Bible, the school ledger, the red-stitched list. Her name is missing. Her mother's name is gone. Her child is listed as unnamed, and a boy tracing birds from napkins like he'd never left. You want me to say it out loud? She asked. He waited. She took a breath. You're mine. I am. They took you. They did. They changed your name. They tried. They told me you were dead. I wasn't. She didn't cry, just reached out and touched his hair. Are you hungry? She asked. He nodded. I'll make bread. She knocked hard on the well-house door. The stitching woman opened it without surprise. You knew, the widow said. The woman didn't speak. You knew it wasn't just a water hole. I did. You gonna say it? The woman stepped aside, motivated her. The boy stayed on the porch. Inside, the air smelled like wet stone and dried cloth. A single candle burned low on the table. The woman sat. They sealed it after the governor's daughter gave birth. The widow's face went pale. What? They didn't want the cries carrying across town. Whose? Does it matter? Say it. Could have been yours. Could have been Clara's. Could have been hers. They bricked a well. They bricked a cradle. She gripped the back of a chair. Who helped? Midwife, sheriff, deputy before yours. And my mother. She was paid to look away. The widow sat. You were there? I held the towel. They stood over the well later that evening. The bricks were old, layered thick, dry mortar in between. The boy held a crowbar in one hand. I'll do it, the widow said. You sure? They put him down there. He handed her the bar. She swung once. A hard crack echoed. Dust rose. The second blow loosened the edge. The third broke the seam. She pried the brick free, then another. Her breath was shallow, hands steady. Brick after brick fell into the grass. Have you ever heard what they told the town? She asked. They said the well dried out. And no one asked why? They weren't supposed to. The hole yawned open before them, deep, dark, quiet. She leaned over it, nothing but air. Rope, she said. The woman from the well house handed her one, already knotted, already frayed. The boy tied it around his waist. I'll go, he said. No, the widow said. I'm smaller. You don't know what's down there. I think I do. She didn't argue again. He stepped onto the rim, lowered himself. The rope creaked. She held it tight. You feelin' it? Cold, he said. Keep talking. He said nothing. Boy? Silence. Say something. Nothing. She let more rope slip through her fingers. Call up, she said, only the sound of dripping. She turned to the woman. How far down? Too far. She wrapped the rope around her wrist. He's not answering. Then he found it. She pulled. Nothing tugged back. She pulled again. No resistance. Just slack. She braced her feet, pulled harder. The end came up empty, frayed, snapped. Her knees buckled. The well-house woman stared. He won't scream. What? They never go down there. The widow dropped to the dirt, pressed her palms to the bricks. Why can't I hear him? They take sound down there. Who's they? The ones who promised land for names. You mean votes. I mean silence. The widow looked down the hole. I'm going in. You won't come back. Then I'll stay. She pulled the second rope from the wagon. Loop by loop, the woman stepped forward. You have more to lose than he does. I already lost him. Once she tied the rope to the iron hook beside the shed. Tested it. She looked at the woman. If I don't come back, you want me to burn the house? The widow nodded. Wait till morning. She climbed into the hole, lowered herself. Bricks scraped her back. The cold wrapped around her ribs. Her breath fogged. Down. Deeper. The rope swung. Below her, only black. Then her foot hit the water. Shallow. Just enough to touch. She dropped. Knees sank into mud. Boy? She whispered. Nothing. She turned in a slow circle, felt the air move, faint, like someone exhaling. She stepped forward. Boy? A shuffle. She spun. He stood by the wall, pale, hands muddy. You all right? He nodded. Why didn't you answer? They told me not to. Who? He pointed to the wall. She looked. Names carved into the stone, faint, thousands. Some are old, some smudged, some fresh. Her breath caught. Samuel Dean. He pointed lower. And there. She squatted. SD again. He touched the stone. One was for you. What? They kept a backup. Of me? In case you broke. Her hand trembled. He stepped forward. They made room in case your voice got loud. She reached for him. You remember me now? She asked. I remembered you before you forgot. I didn't forget. You had to. They made you. I tried not to. I know. She pulled him close. I'm sorry. You came. I shouldn't have let go. You held on as long as you could. She kissed his head. I want to go home, he said. We will. Together, they looked at the wall once more. She touched the deepest name, then the rope. Up above, the woman waited with a lantern. The light never flickered, and the bricks stayed scattered. He stood on the porch at dawn, soaked to the knees, mud on his hands, shirt torn at the hem. She opened the door, slow. You walk back? She asked. He nodded. Alone? Wasn't alone down there. You found something. He looked past her, into the house. I heard her. She stepped back. Who? The one they never let name me. She pulled a chair out at the table. Sit. He did. She fetched a towel, set it beside him. Dry off. He didn't move. What did she say? She sang. What song? She didn't know the words, just the sound. Does she say anything else? He nodded. Said I was never meant to wear his name. She sat across from him. You mean your father's? The badge man. She stared at him. The sheriff? She asked. He didn't answer. Are you saying he's your father? No. Then who? They passed me to his house, but they didn't call me son. She leaned in. Then what? They called me Quiet. She stood. I walked to the dresser in the hallway. Opened the bottom drawer, pulled out folded clothes wrapped in yellow tissue. She brought them to the table, set them down. These were his. The boy looked. She unwrapped the shirt, the pants, small brown boots. She passed the shirt to him. Try it. He slipped it on. The sleeves fit. The buttons didn't. She watched him struggle. I watched his fingers tremble. "You've grown," she whispered. "I think I was supposed to." She passed him the pants. He changed slowly, silent. "Do you remember him?" "No. But you remember her?" "I remember the sound of her voice without ever hearing words." She brought him food, bread, 2 eggs, cold coffee. He didn't eat right away. "You scared?" she asked. "No." "Lion?" "Little?" She sat beside him. "I thought you'd never come back up." "I didn't think I would." "What brought you back?" "You." "You pulled me." Number just called, loud enough. She looked down at his plate. "You still not hungry?" "Not for this." She nodded, took the plate back. He walked around the house in the afternoon, touched every wall like it meant something. She followed. "You looking for something?" she asked. "I'm seeing if it still fits." "What?" "This life." "You think it does?" He didn't answer. He stood at the back door, hand on the latch. "Why'd you leave this open?" "I never do." "You did that night." "What night?" "The one they came for him." She leaned on the frame. "I was too tired." "I know." "They said he stopped breathing." "He didn't." "I was bleeding bad." "I know." "They said I shouldn't see him." "They wrapped him before you asked." She stepped closer. "You were wrapped?" "Too tight to cry." "You tried." "I think I did." She reached out, touched his shoulder. "I want to give you something." She brought the quilt from the cradle. "Hold it out." He took it. "It still smells like you," he said. "You think I deserve to call you mine?" "I think I came back for a reason." "You think you'll stay?" "I don't know yet." "Why not?" "They still got my name on a shelf somewhere." "We can take it back." He looked at her. "You sure?" She nodded. "I've never been more sure." Later, they sat outside, porch clean, sky low. She lit a small fire in the pit. He held the quilt in his lap. "You know what I heard once," he said. "What?" "That the sheriff never had a wife." "He didn't." "No woman ever stood at his gate." "No." "Then who raised me?" She didn't speak. He stared into the fire. "You think she's still alive?" "I don't know." "She was gentle." "You remember?" "Only her hands." "You saw her face?" "Once." "What did she look like?" "Like you. But I'm scared." She wiped her eyes. "I was scared too," she said. "I know." "They told me he'd be buried properly." "They buried someone." "Do you think there's still a grave?" "I think it's just dirt now." "Then we plant something else." He smiled, just once. "What would we plant?" "Something loud." She watched the flames. "You want the name back?" she asked. "I don't think it fits anymore." "What name would you like?" "I don't know." "Have you ever had one you liked?" "Clara once called me Sparrow." "She said that?" Before they took her voice. She leaned into her knees. "I can stitch that," she said. "You still sew?" "I used to." "You'll teach me." "If you want." "I do." The wind shifted. The fire cracked. She looked over. He'd wrapped the quilt around himself, feet bare, sleeves rolled. Her son. Not buried, not gone, sitting where no one thought he'd ever return. She reached over, took his hand. "Tomorrow," she said. He nodded. "Tomorrow." The sky broke before daylight, loud and steady. Rain pounded the metal roof till it sounded like grief. She stood by the window, watching water streak the glass. "Have you seen storms like this?" she asked. The boy sat on the floor, wrapping thread around his fingers. "Not since the barn caught fire." "Thought you weren't born then." "I wasn't. But I remember it." She didn't ask how. She didn't need to anymore. By noon, the hill was mud. Graves slid. Markers tilted. Some cracked open like the ground had changed its mind. They stood at the gate, boots deep in water. "Looks wrong," she said. "It is wrong," the boy answered. "Have you ever seen coffins float? Only when the names underneath try to rise." She didn't blink, just stepped forward. They walked slowly. He stopped at each grave, whispered, moved on. "What are you saying to them?" she asked, reminding them they were real. "You think they forgot?" I think the ones above forgot first." She kicked at a nameplate sunk into the mud, tilted it back straight. "What if some names don't belong here?" He crouched beside a split slab. "Then we turn them." At the far end, the water was knee-high, a half-submerged stone face down, moss thick on the back. The boy knelt, lifted it gently, flipped it. The front was faint, letters sunken, smeared by time. J.M. Infant male. She stepped close, didn't touch it. "That one yours?" he asked. She shook her head. "No." "You sure?" He was quiet. This one feels empty." He traced the edge. "Some babies were never meant to be named." "That's a lie they tell." He looked up. "You want to cry?" She shook her head. He never liked that name anyway. Another stone nearby had washed free. No markings. "Just wait." She lifted it. Underneath, a tin rattle half crushed in clay. "Was this his?" she asked. The boy turned. "I remember the sound," he said. She held it to her chest. "They buried it with the wrong baby." "They buried everything with the wrong baby." "Then who did I grieve?" "Someone easier to forget." The rain slowed near evening. The light came cold, pale. Graves still shifted when they moved. She stood on higher ground, watched the boy circle. "Are you reading names again?" she asked. "No." "Then what?" "I'm wondering which ones still wait." "For what?" "For someone to say they mattered." She pointed to a grave near the willow tree. "That one's Clara." He nodded. "I know." She testified. "They punished her for speaking." "I should have stopped them." "You didn't know." "I didn't want to know." He crouched near Clara's grave, dug a little with his hands. She came beside him. "What are you doing?" "Giving her space." "For what?" "To breathe." "You think she needs it?" "She never got it before." He uncovered part of a button, a ribbon fragment. She knelt too. "She was only 17. She was brave. She bled on my porch." He looked at her. "And you let her leave." "I begged her to stay." "She didn't listen." "No, they never do." They sat on the muddy ground, backs against stone. Rain misted now, gentle. "You think the dead talk?" he asked. "I think they never stopped." He handed her a piece of slate. "This one's blank." "Was it ever carved?" "No." "Then who was it for?" He shrugged. "Maybe someone like me." She wiped it clean with her sleeve. "You want your name on it?" "No." "Why not?" "I want mine said, not buried." She stared at him. "You remember the name I gave you?" He nodded. "Say it." "Samuel." The wind kicked through the trees. She held the stone flat in her lap, pulled a nail from her pocket, pressed it to the wet slate, scratched slow. "Samuel," she whispered. "Don't have to," he said. "I want to." "You think it matters now?" "Yes." He watched her work. When she finished, she laid the stone back in the dirt, near the edge of Clara's grave. "You don't want it with yours?" he asked. "I don't think I have one." He took her hand. "Then we'll make you one." The last name they saw that day was his. The one carved wrong, the one meant to confuse. He pointed. "This one's mine, the false one." She spat on it. "Good," he said. They left the hill when the sky turned purple. Boots heavy, clothes soaked. Neither said much. At the gate, she looked back once. "Do you feel lighter?" she asked. "No." "Me neither." "That's all right." She held his hand. "We'll come back tomorrow." "To do what?" "To give them names they didn't get." He nodded. "I'll bring thread." The knock came late. 3 slow hits, slurred rhythm. She opened the door to find him leaning on the frame, hat soaked, badge crooked, sheriff. His breath smelled like corn mash and old regret. "You're digging too deep," he muttered. She didn't blink. "Then you're scared of what's under." "You don't know what you're stirring." She stepped aside. "Come in. See for yourself." He hesitated, then stumbled in. Boots dragging mud. She walked ahead, calm. At the kitchen table, she pulled out the tin box. I opened it, laid the badge down between them. Rusted, faded. Deputy number 3. He stared at it. Didn't sit. "You know who number 3 was," she said. "I don't." "You sure?" He wiped sweat off his neck. "You dig this up?" "I didn't bury it." He reached for it. She slapped his hand away. "Tell me whose it is." He looked at the floor. "A mistake. Say the name." "I can't." "You will. I was just a deputy then." "And he." "Ellis." She sat back. "So he was real." "Yes." "And you erased him." He said nothing. The boy stepped out from the hallway. So quiet the sheriff didn't hear him. He held a book, water-warped, threadbare. He set it down beside the badge. "What's this?" the sheriff asked. The boy flipped it open. "Turn the pages." Each one listed a name, a year, and a trade. Livestock, property, votes, children. He pointed to a red line. The sheriff leaned in. "Boy." Swapped. Silent. The date matched the birth record year, the widow's year. She watched the sheriff pale. "You signed this," she said. He shook his head. "It ain't my writing. It's your name. I didn't make that deal. You enforced it." He backed up a step. "You think this makes you right?" he asked. "I don't care. You'll tear this town open. It's already rotten. You don't know what this ledger means. It means I didn't lose a baby. You took him." He looked at the boy. "You think you're him?" The boy didn't answer. "He doesn't look like you." "He looks like the truth." The sheriff's hand twitched toward his belt. "You draw in this house," she said. "You won't leave with bones intact." He dropped his hand. "You want money?" he asked. She stood. "I want names back." He slumped into a chair, heavy. "I didn't plan it," he said, "but you carried it out. They told me it'd keep things quiet." "Whose idea?" "Governor's." "Who else?" "Your mother." The boy stepped closer. "Is she the one who wrote silent?" he asked. "No," the sheriff said. "She wanted it louder. She tried to tell someone." "What happened to her?" the widow asked. "She vanished." "You mean you made her vanish?" He didn't answer. The boy placed a second slip of paper on the table. Same red ink. Gail D. Marked. The widow stared at it. "My mother." "Marked for what?" "For remembering." Silence swelled. The storm had passed, but thunder still echoed somewhere in the hills. The sheriff looked old, soggy, small. "I've seen men hang for less," she said. "They will hang me." "Maybe." "You gonna tell?" She looked at the boy. He watched her. Didn't nod, didn't speak. She turned back. "I ain't tellin' for justice." "Then why?" "For Samuel." The sheriff rose. "Where's this going from here?" She picked up the badge, set it back in the box. "This stays with me." He pointed to the ledger. "And that?" The boy slid it off the table, held it to his chest. "Mine," he said. "You don't know how dangerous that book is." "I do now." At the door, the sheriff paused. "You blow this open, you'll start a fire." "Then I hope it burns clean," the widow said. He looked at her, at the boy. "Then I left." They didn't speak for a while. The fire crackled low. The badge sat in its box like a wound that finally stopped bleeding. She sat down across from the boy. "You understand what that ledger is?" "I do." "You scared?" He nodded. "Me too." He pushed the book toward her. "Do you want to read the rest?" She shook her head. "Number not tonight." She stood, reached into the drawer, pulled out her sewing kit. "I'm going to start your name," she said. He watched. "Where?" "On the quilt." She unfolded it across the table. He smiled. "You remember how?" "I always remembered." She threaded the needle, stitched the first 3 letters. "Sam," she said aloud. "You want me to finish it?" She passed him the needle. "Your name now," she said. "You finish it how you want." They walked at sunrise. No wind, no birds. The path up the cemetery hill was dry now, soft beneath their boots. The boy held the stitched quilt under one arm, folded neat, thread ends still raw. She carried nothing. "You ready?" she asked. "I think so." "You scared?" "No." She gave him a look. "Maybe a little," he added. They stopped at the gate. Graves stretched quiet across the hill, nothing new disturbed since the rain. The grass looked like it didn't want to grow there anymore. She led the way. He followed. They didn't speak until they reached the far corner, the place where stones leaned and names faded. "Where does it end?" he asked. "No," she said. "It's where it gets set right." She knelt by the grave with no marker. The dirt hadn't shifted since the flood. "This one was meant for you," she said. He looked down. "Is it still mine?" "Number not anymore." She brushed the soil with her palm, cleared off what little dust there was. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out at first. He sat beside her. "You remember what they called me?" he asked. "I remember what they didn't." She looked at him. "You want it back?" "I want what you gave me first." Her hand trembled as she reached into her coat pocket. She pulled out a name tag, yellowed, folded in half. He took it. "Sewn into the cradle," she said. He opened it slowly, read it. "Jonah," she nodded. "I used to whisper it when I thought you were sleeping," she said. "I think I heard it." "You did." "Didn't know it was mine. Just knew it felt like home." They sat in silence. No wind, no birds, just the sound of the land holding still. She dug with her hands, slow, careful, not deep. She placed the name tag into the earth. Then I covered it. She pressed her palm flat and whispered, "Jonah." The boy blinked fast. "That's mine," he said. She nodded. "Always was." He pulled the quilt from under his arm, spread it on the grass beside the grave. She sat on it. He sat too. They faced the field. "You think they'll come for us?" he asked. "They might. You gonna stop 'em?" "If I have to." "They'll say it never happened." "They've said that before." He looked at the dirt. "Feels quiet." "It is." "You think it's over?" But I think it's begun." He pulled the ledger from his coat, laid it flat between them. "What are you going to do with it?" she asked. "Leave it open." "Where?" "On the porch." "They'll burn it." "Then we stitch every name." She smiled. "You still remember how?" "I got fast hands." She handed him a needle. "You'll need a stronger thread." She stood. I walked toward the center of the cemetery, stopped, turned. "Jonah Dean," she said. He looked up. "Yes, ma'am." "Are you hungry?" "Starved." They left the hill together, didn't look back. The wind moved once, soft through the grass. Behind them, the grave stayed still. No name shifted, no dust rose. For the first time, it was held. Back home, she boiled water. He set the table, folded the napkins. Neat, sharp corners. She served bread and broth. He reached for the salt. "Do you feel different?" she asked. "I feel real." "You were always real." "Now I believe it." That night, they sat on the porch. She held a thread spool in one hand, needle in the other. He stitched the name slowly, carefully. "Each letter is true." "Jonah," she said. He nodded. "You say it like a song." "That's how I meant it." He kept stitching. When he finished, he held up the square. "First name on the new quilt." She smiled. "It'll be the one that stays." The sky turned dark. The lantern glowed gold behind them. No footsteps came. No names scratched the wood. No whispers stirred. Only quiet and dust that did not move.